So close rate was around 50, 60%. The monthly was about 20K.
What did we do last month in terms of close rate and sales?
Close rate was also in the 50%, but the monthly was at 42.5.
So how did we add an extra 22.5 in income?
Yeah, so change the entire pricing structure. Before I used to do monthly recurring, and the prices were pretty low comparatively to, my niche in my area. We basically doubled the pricing, if not more than that, and then started charging pretty much in full so that I didn't have to deal with the headache of chasing clients down and stuff like that when their card bounces on their monthly payments.
So I'm here today with Georgie. Georgie, it's great to see you, man. How you doing? How is everything?
Well, good. Yeah, had my biggest month just now in July, so pretty pumped about it.
Incredible. Well, congratulations. So
Thank
diving right in, like when you hired me a few months ago, what was close rate and what was our current monthly income?
you. So close rate was around 50, 60%, but the monthly was about 20K.
So closing 50 to 60% of every call that you took, and then monthly revenue kind of capping out right about 20K.
Correct.
How long were you at that 20K number for before we started working together?
I would say probably for about 3 months or so. And before that, it was hovering between 10 and like 18,000 for a solid like 6 months, 6 to 8 months before that.
So pretty much like a year straight of being between 10, kind of staggered up 15, 18, and then you kind of hit your head at 20 and was kind of stuck there for a little bit.
Yeah.
What did we do last month in terms of close rate and sales?
Close rate was also in the 50%, but the monthly was at 42.5. So
Damn. Congrats. So I go from 20 to 42.5, but we kept the close rate the same. So how did we add an extra 22.5 in income?
yeah, so change the entire pricing structure. Before I used to do monthly recurring, and the prices were pretty low comparatively to, I guess my niche in my area. So we basically doubled the pricing, if not more than that, and then started charging pretty much in full so that I didn't have to deal with the headache of chasing clients down and stuff like that when their card bounces on their monthly payments.
So you're saying that we double, maybe a little bit more than doubled the price, and then our close rate was genuinely unaffected, hovered right there at 50% through and through, but we doubled the price, so we doubled the income of the business.
Yeah, yeah. And we changed up the pitch, which I think helped dramatically with that as well.
Yeah, because you used to use a like a PowerPoint, right? You would like share your screen and walk them through like a PowerPoint process.
Yeah, yeah, I'd have a Prezi, and then I had a really weak discovery where I didn't really dig into anything with in regards to, what the prospect was trying to accomplish and achieve in any of their pain points.
Yeah, and I think that's important for the people watching this. It's like everybody wants to charge more money, but in order to charge more money, you also have to up level your skill, right? Like you can't get on a call, do a half-ass discovery, not really ask them any questions about themselves, and then just fire up a Prezi that you spent 10 hours building that you think is going to do all the work for you. They're not going to go for that increased price. So I guess I'm curious, like what gave you the confidence to expect I'm going to double the price, I'm worth it, I'm going to do it?
Well, I think one aspect was definitely how you handled it. Like you were very like your prices are dirt cheap. Like you kind of pounded that in my head. And then the other aspect was just the community that we're in, where, there's plenty of other fitness coaches in there that I saw were charging, which are still charging, more than what I am right now. But they're closing deals left and right. And I was like, okay, I'm definitely, being undervalued here. And I need to, increase what I'm doing here if I want to maximize the output.
I added it up in July and the fitness coaches did like 400K in fitness coaching sales, like just the fitness coaches. I have a ton of other clients, but just you guys on the fitness side of things did over 400K last month.
Oh yeah, love it. One thing I did want to add too, I noticed like in terms of the actual clients that I'm working with now, they're so much better of prospects. Like they're not missing their check-ins. They're more invested into what they're doing. And I feel like, in terms of results and what I'm able to bring to them and just overall how I'm able to serve them, I think it maximizes the efforts there as well. So that's definitely been something that I noticed recently as well.
When people pay, they pay attention. So two things happen, and I know that you know this because I've taught it to you throughout our time together. But the first thing that happens is people associate your program as being higher value because the price is up. right? So people just think more money, more value. Not always the case, but that's just how human psychology works. Number two, the more money they spend, the more seriously they take your program. And I know that was a huge issue for you before, and stuff like that doesn't get talked about enough, right? You used to have a 50% close rate and you were doing 20K. So you were enrolling a ton of clients, but the results of those clients weren't astronomical. And that's not a you thing. Dude, you've stepped on stage, like I can see all the trophies behind you. Like your physique is insane. Like you look fantastic. You obviously know what you're doing. It was just the fact that they weren't showing up. They weren't doing their check-ins. They weren't taking the program seriously. And it's simply because of the amount of money they invested to be inside that program. So you double the price, it instantly doubles their commitment level. You're probably getting way more referrals, way more testimonials, way more screenshots and wins. Everybody's now happy, opposed to them giving you money and not really enough to move the needle in terms of my commitment. And then they just do nothing and they've wasted money and they've wasted your time. So it's awesome to see that effect happening for you. And if close rate is the same, that means you have the same amount of clients, right? You're just making more than double what you were making, and you're getting way more testimonials and referrals. So it's awesome to see.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
How would you say you got more paid in fulls? Because I know that before you had a paid in full option, but you weren't really talking about it. You weren't really pushing it. Like, what was the change that you made that has way more people now paying in full rather than a month to month payment plan?
Yeah, well, I pretty much eliminated the month to month. I have that as like a backup option. Before I'd show the pricing in the presentation because I figured them seeing the numbers visually would kind of help solidify them. And I almost had like an infomercial where I had this is a monthly option, this is a 3 month option, this is a 6 month option. Then I had like a little paid in full option below and saying, hey, you save, 15% if you do so. But then, yeah, I just completely scratched that. I tell them verbally over the call how much the price is. It's either 2 payments of this or, one full payment of that. Give a bigger discount paid in full. And then, worst comes to worst, if they're really, committed to the process and the plan and they're confident that what I provide for them will get them to the next level, we look at other financing resources where we can.
It's interesting how when you had your Prezi, like the paid in full was like your smallest little option, which visually represents your confidence level in people actually paying you in full. Like if you were confident everybody was going to pay in full, that'd be the one and only option, big and bold. Here's what it is. Like it or not, that is what it is. That's my value. But you had kind of squeezed it down in the corner, kind of small, like, nah, nobody's going to do this. And then of course nobody does it. When you have the
Mhm.
confidence on the sales call, just like, yeah, here's the price, here's the program, here's what it is, these are the results you're going to get. People are like, okay, great.
Mhm.
And then occasionally you have people who are maybe financially in not the best spot. We can get creative, come up with payment plans, do financing options, whatever that looks like. So great job on that.
Thank you.
If you had to sum up the couple months that we worked together into one takeaway, something like confidence, close rate, pricing, I mean, it could quite literally be anything. If you had to sum up our couple months of working together into one single takeaway, what do you think it would be?
Another good one. I think I would say just overall, yeah, I think confidence would be a good way to sum it up. More confidence in my ability to have that deserved self-value. Because I
Hmm.
mean, I'm here busting my ass, 12 hours a day, really try to deliver for my clients and over deliver where I can. Constant communication with them and really, busting my ass for what I love to do. Um, and I just felt like I was stalled out and with your program, it helped me really kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel of, okay, I can only handle so many clients because I'm a one-man team here. So what's the next best way to scale up? And that was where we, adjusted pricing, adjusted, the pitch and went about it that way.
I remember our first 3 weeks working together. I just sat there and told you how great you are for like 3 weeks straight. I'm like, Georgie, look in the mirror. Like, look at your results. Look at your testimonials. Like, look at the shows you stepped on in front of. Like, you're incredible. And I was just like pouring into you. And I genuinely meant that. Like, dude, if you're unqualified and you kind of suck, like, I'll just tell you, like, dude, you kind of suck. But you don't. You're fantastic. Like, you've been doing this for a really, really long time. You put out incredible content, value. You're super knowledgeable. And I remember at first, it's like, dude, we got to raise the prices. This is dirt cheap. and you wanted to raise the price, but subconsciously you had these like reservations, like, oh, would people really pay that? Am I good enough to do that? Am I worth it? Da da da. And for like 3 weeks, I just was hyping you up of like how incredible you are. And then I think when that first person on the new pricing like pays in full, you used to have people paying half the amount that that person paid in full and splitting it over like 4, 5, 6 months. Now you have somebody come in and be like, you're good enough. I trust you. Boom, here's your credit card. I'll pay the whole thing in full. And I think that's when the door opened, the light bulb went off, and you were like, dude, we can take this thing to the next level.
Absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt.
What would you say if somebody's like maybe looking into my program? Maybe they're a fitness coach, maybe they're not, right? If they're just an online coach and they're kind of looking into me, my program, maybe kind of on the fence, can he help me? Can he not? What would be kind of the advice that you might give to somebody considering working with me?
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of your skills, you're able to deliver on wherever that weak point is for the coach. I know for myself it was confidence. For other people, it's really kind of focusing in on staying in the buying pocket at the end. Different all these different aspects. Which as a coach, you're wearing so many different hats, and you're able to really come in there, figure out where that struggle point, where that weak point is, and then really just work to fine tune that out. So I think you're kind of that specialist of being able to figure out what exactly the area of weakness is to help grow a business, and you come in there and you execute and make it happen with us. So I would say make that jump. I know it can be I've always been very frugal with investing, but I before you I had another coach at or Jeremy, which you're pretty close with, and then with you as well, just making those jumps, it has grown my business tremendously. And it's just reinforcing that, investing in yourself is worth it. And it's it'll make your money back times 10 in the long run.
Then I'm gonna put that graphic up on the screen that you posted of just like your stripe going like this and just
Yeah.
like with the little arrow, because it's like when you say it will grow your business tremendously, like that is a visual representation of the quantum leaps that you can make with proper mentorship. So like I really appreciate you saying that. And it's cool to kind of recap our time together because you and I covered a lot. And like you said, I can find the areas of weak spots and like fix them. And it's not that you had like a bunch of weak spots. You just had a bunch of areas that needed a little bit of improvement, right? Like a little bit of improvement on the confidence, on the pricing, on the pitch, on the objection handling. You and I even had a meeting with you and your appointment setter, who
Mhm.
great guy, by the way. Super lucky to have him on your team. The
Yeah.
guy crushes it. And, we went through and read his DMs and like I was then training you and your appointment setter together so he can keep booking you high quality meetings. So we did a little bit of that. I know you really utilize Slack in the sales questions channel, which was amazing to see. I think that you were kind of the front runner there where you weren't afraid to ask questions, right? And everybody's like learning from these questions, and they're really intelligent questions about conversations, people who are maybe wanting a refund or upset clients or whatever, right? Like it was just everything that was coming to you in your business, you were willing to ask for help and support on. Even if you knew, you were like, let me just double check, make sure this is picture perfect. So we covered a lot of ground, and obviously it shows in the results going from 20K to 42.5 in just 2 months of working together. So I'm really proud of you for that.
Mhm. Yeah, man. Thank you. I appreciate all your help.
Yeah. Where do you see kind of the future going? We got 5 months left in 2024. What do you kind of see the trajectory in the pace?
Yeah. I definitely, nobody wants to think about the down months, but if those ever do occur, which I know my past history has been in those wintertime months, especially around the holidays as a fitness coach, nobody's, trying to start a plan with Thanksgiving and, Christmas and New Year's and everything like that. My goal is to keep things at a high level at that point, but I would like to still hit, before the end of the year around that 60K mark for a month. So that'd be ideal.
That's sick. That's sick. I
Mhm.
mean, dude, you now have the blueprint to do it. You just
Yeah.
raise your price a little bit and keep your close rate the same, and you'll hit 60K. And the key there is you don't have to take on more clients to make more money. And that's
Mhm.
the thing. Like, there's so many levers you can pull. If you increase your close rate, you now have to serve more clients. If you
Mhm.
increase your price, you don't. You have the same amount of clients, you're just making more money per client. right? And then you can do cross sells, continuation offers. I mean, there's a million ways to increase the revenue and the impact of the business, and you're kind of pulling all these different levers, and things are going up. So it's I couldn't ask for a better client to work with. It's been awesome, and I know you're going to continue getting on the group calls using Slack. So it's awesome to be able to kind of continue our relationship and keep supporting you into these bigger and better months throughout the end of the year.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for jumping on. It's great to see you as always.
You too.